Get ready for discovery at the 15th Annual Wisconsin Science Festival, October 16th through the 26th. Over 200 events at more than 150 venues throughout Wisconsin are set to inspire all ages with science, technology, and art. This year, they're featuring the theme of rock and roll as a nod to the music, motion, and geology that shapes Wisconsin. Activities include interactive experiments, live Q&As with scientists, and thought-provoking panels. To learn more about events near you, visit wiscifest.org. Have you heard about Green Box Compost? Well, they offer a residential compost service for only $26 a month. They compost all food scraps, including meat, dairy, even bones, and certified compostable products. They come to your doorstep, take your scraps, and give you a fresh bucket each time. And then you can receive back compost that you helped create twice per year. Visit withgreenbox.com today and use code MM25 for a free month. This is CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Today, we did it! Y'all, you helped us smash our fall membership goal, and I want to say thank you. Along with the whole team, we are so deeply grateful. It's truly one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Too far? Well, we're certainly over the moon over here, and I'm going to give a huge thank you to our new neighbors who pushed us past the finish line. Thank you, Shauna C., Marie D., Bailey Z., Nicole D., Nancy B., Jennifer F., and Deanne M. It feels so good to say your names. Y'all took us to new heights and have made an investment in this independent, local conversations future. Just like true Madisonians, you've got big DIY do-it-yourself energy. And on the topic of Madison values, let's get into the show. Madison is a city full of makers, artists, and crafters, and the Textile Art Center of Madison is a dedicated, thriving space for folks to hone their craft. That center just got a new home on South Park Street. Joining me to dig into their work and the recent expansion is co-founder Elizabeth Tucker. Elizabeth, welcome to CityCast Madison.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so let's start with the basics. What are textile arts?
So textile arts is a pretty broad category. It encompasses everything from sewing and quilting to knitting and crochet, embroidery, weaving, even paper making. Any art form or craft form that works with fiber is considered a textile or fiber art.
And are there other materials as well?
There's a lot of natural and non-natural materials that could be in that realm, but any sort of natural yarn, it could be flax yarn, which is used to create linen fabric, which people are really familiar with. But, you know, there's so many fibers in our world, on our planet, that can be made into textile and fiber art. I think it would be hard to name them all.
Sure. Yeah. I was just wondering if there are any like papers, like I'm thinking about quilting, like if anything that is not really like a fiber, but I guess paper is fiber too. So
yeah. A lot of times when I first mentioned paper making as part of our umbrella, people are surprised. They don't necessarily immediately think of that as fiber, but certainly the base material from which paper is made. It could be cotton rag, it could be abaca, it could be, all sorts of different plant fibers. That's the underlying structure of the paper that we have in our lives all around us.
I think the textile arts is something that's familiar to most people in the sense that you might have seen it happening at home. Like many of us grew up with a mom, or for me, my grandma, or an aunt who is a sewer or a quilter or an arts and crafter. But I'm not sure that everyone really recognizes that term textile arts and that those practices fall into that. Like this is an art form. Do you think there's a cultural shift right now towards recognizing textile arts as a legitimate form?
Yeah, there actually is. And there's been a lot in the media about that in recent years. there was an article not too long ago in New York Times about how fiber art is finally getting its due, was basically the headline. And just sort of recognizing that there are a lot of international art shows and there are a lot of museums around the world, big name museums like the Museum of Modern Art in New York, for example, just had a huge textile exhibition as their main show. And there's a lot of recognition right now that textile and fiber, I think because it is such an accessible material, it is something that everyone has some sort of connection to. Like you say, maybe it's like a mom or a grandma or an aunt who pursued a textile art themselves or craft themselves. Maybe they were a quilter or knitter. Or maybe it's also because we all understand textiles. We all wear clothes every day and have, linens in our homes that we sleep under at night. And so it's really a material that we understand on a very broad level. And so I think part of the reason that there is this really exciting swell in the contemporary art world is that there's a recognition that artists can convey really important contemporary concerns and dive into some really interesting issues in our world, but through a material that somehow everyone kind of understands. And it's just like a really great way into the content. And so you are seeing just a lot of really exciting work in fiber in the contemporary art world right now, which is super exciting.
I love that description and laying it out that way because it is so personal. So you can connect in this sort of intimate human way to bigger issues with it. So I wish I was in New York. Boosh, I want to go see that.
I know. Yes, likewise. But there's amazing work happening in our own community. You don't have to go all the way to New York City.
Facts,
Yes.
absolute facts. I feel like I'm seeing a number of different art items or art pieces in our local area that fall into textile arts that kind of are like a part of part of these institutions' forever collections. So,
Yeah.
We're talking about, like you said, sewing, weaving, embroidery. These have all kind of traditionally been viewed as women's work. Do you think that gendering has played into this not being considered a quote unquote true art form at the same caliber, I guess, as, say, fine art?
Yeah, 100%. That's certainly been part of it historically. And so I think it's exciting that, maybe we're getting a bit beyond that, or we are getting a bit beyond that, perhaps I should say. And that's a beautiful thing.
I think women are having a moment.
Yeah.
When I saw Michelle Obama start publicly knitting, I knew that there was a shift underway.
Yeah.
I hope that, everyone gets involved in the textile arts. And because you're so close to it, Elizabeth, I'm curious, are there innovations being done today that would maybe shock my great grandma?
Yeah, I think there absolutely are in so many different ways. I mean, there are artists that are working with really traditional tools and techniques and materials, but in really innovative ways, like I said, maybe to make a point or address, really important topic or concern of relevance to them.
Do you have something that's coming to mind right now, like an example? Because I'm conjuring things, but what's coming to mind for you?
Yeah, I can think of probably tons of examples. But for one thing, for many, many years, decades, hundreds of years, maybe longer perhaps, textiles have actually been used as tools to advance social change. So some examples that you can think of that would be really common knowledge might be like the AIDS quilt that was started in the 80s to really sort of bring heightened awareness to the crisis around the AIDS epidemic. And that was a huge project and piece. There were banners and sashes that women made over 100 years ago as they were fighting for the right to vote. That was another sort of really important textile art that was working to advance social change. More recently, women's marches, women started knitting and wearing these pink hats. And those, similarly, it was a message that could get out, I think, that much more quickly and ultimately really powerfully visually because it could take a physical form and so many people could participate in the making of it. Currently, and these are examples from our own current exhibition at the Textile Arts Center, we have pieces by local artists who really are very explicitly wanting to convey a message through their work. So the current exhibition that we have up is called Statement Pieces, Quilts with Something to Say. Each of these works has a message that might be political, it might be social, it might be environmental. So, for example, there's an artist who has a piece in the show. Her name is Leah Evans. She's a local Madison artist, primarily a quilt maker, art quilts. But the piece is sort of like an aerial map of an huge, thousands of acres, textile and clothing dump in Chile. And so it's really speaking to, all sorts of concerns relative to fast fashion, relative to, the environmental destruction and climate change. But it's interesting how she's actually like using a fiber piece and a fabric piece to talk about fabric and textile waste. So it's really, it's really powerful in that regard and really effective. Each of the pieces that are in our current show have content that's really, like I said, it's really like current.
Yeah, that's an amazing example, and I really want to see that. That sounds very powerful and evocative.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool to see people take on political issues in this art form. And I think also, as we talked about a little bit, is the personal is political. And what's coming up for me is like Faith Reingold. Her quilts depicted like African Americans and just living a good life on the rooftop and by the beaches. And it's just a story quilt. And I think a lot of people connect with stories that quilting can be this other kind of vehicle to connect us to our family. So I'm excited that you talked a little bit about what is in your exhibit. I do want to pivot to your space and talk about high level, like what is the Textile Arts Center and what are y'all getting up to?
Yeah, so our space is really meant to be a community hub for all things textile and fiber art. And we like to be a space where different fiber arts and different artists with different backgrounds and working with different materials can cross-pollinate. And I think that that's a big part of what we bring to the Madison community. There are 4 main buckets of programming that we do here at the Textile Arts Center. We do a lot of classes and workshops for all ages in all variety of textile and fiber arts. And those are open to the public and all on our website to check out what we have coming up. We do exhibitions of contemporary fiber art. As we've just been discussing, those change out every 6 or 7 weeks. There's something new to see here in our gallery space. We serve as a center for creative reuse. So that means we take in donations of all manner of textile and fiber art supplies, tools, equipment, and get those donations back out into the community to makers who want to have access to supplies that perhaps aren't purchased new, that are already out in the ecosystem. We do 2 big sale events a year for those, and also redonate to other area nonprofits and schools that call us up looking for specific things. And then the 4th bucket of programming that we do is sort of a broad umbrella that we call our free community programming. So that could be anything from open house and community day events that we have here at TAC to welcome people in and experience our space and what we do. That could also be programs that we do out in the community. So we do a lot of tabling at local festivals and take activities to schools and community centers. We also do a book club that's offered in partnership with Penny Branch Library. So there's a lot that happens in that space. And I think then the other thing I would want to mention in that free community programming aspect is our free maker meetups. So twice a week, people can bring their own project and gather here at TAC to stitch in community with other makers. And that has been really well received and really full each week. In fact, there's one of those groups gathering here now.
Right now, as we're talking?
Mm-hmm.
So they're in the background? you can't see them.
Yeah, they're in the next room. But at any rate, there's about 20 folks that come in on weekday afternoons, on Wednesday afternoons, and they're here now.
Remember that weird sound your furnace made last winter? The one you hoped wouldn't get worse? Hope's not a great heating strategy. Not in Wisconsin. By December, the phones ring nonstop, everyone's furnace decides to quit at the same time, emergency calls, big repair bills, long wait lists, all when your family needs heat most. Right now, Cardinal Heating is offering $1,000 off a new furnace and AC system, but only until October 31st. And there's up to $2,600 in federal rebates and tax credits you could qualify for, but those expire at the end of 2025. This isn't just a deal, it's peace of mind. When it's 5 degrees outside, you'll be warm and relaxed because you took care of it now. Visit cardinalservice.com and schedule your free estimate. The last good deal of the year is right now, before the cold, before the panic, before prices rise. CoverGirl, you better work! Tickets are available now for St. Vinny's on the Runway, St. Vinny's thrift store's first ever fashion show. I know, that's coming up on Wednesday, October 15th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the Madison Youth Arts Center. Get your tickets today at svdpmadison.org/event/st-vinnies-on-the-runway. The event will be an evening of fashion, fun, and community, aka a ball. St. Vinny's employees will take the stage as models, showing off unique thrifted looks that highlight just how creative, stylish, and affordable shopping secondhand can be. They'll model styles for the whole fam, clothing from their special events, and Halloween costumes. Tickets are $25 and there's limited supply. The assignment, come dressed in your favorite St. Vinny's outfit. Show off your best thrifted finds. All are welcome, so get all your folks out to this fun evening. Y'all, it's time. Time to invest in some good tea and vibes for this cozy and reflective fall season. A great place to check out is Telsan Tea, located in downtown Mount Horeb. They offer over 160 flavors of tea and herbs, and the different ways to make it. Their store is full of rich smells with tea samples to open, explore, and see the beautiful colors and ingredients. It's a grounding sensory experience. Speaking of experiences, they've got events, including a tea blending workshop coming very soon. On Saturday, October 18th and Sunday, October 19th, you can attend their Make and Take Chai Drop-In Workshop. It's a hands-on workshop where you'll learn how to make authentic chai from scratch, using traditional spices and loose-leaf tea. Each ticket includes your very own batch of freshly made chai, a tea tin, labels, and recipes. Tickets can be purchased in advance or at the door the day of the workshop. If you want to register or shop, head to telsan.com. That's TELSAAN.com. I understand you co-founded this with Heather Kohlmeyer. So when you and Heather started this endeavor, what were you looking to fill in Madison in terms of was there a need? What inspired you to get this started?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And I think it comes back to or down to the fact that there is already a really vibrant and active textile art community in Madison already. There's a really great program at UW in textile and fashion design. It's one of the best programs in the country. A lot of students are coming out of that degree program every year with their bachelor's or their master's in textile design. And those students, once they leave campus, however, a lot of them stay in our community, but they're not still engaged with a group. They don't have all of the tools and resources that they had at UW. So that's one aspect of our community that's been around, as long as that program has been at the university. Meanwhile, there's also in Madison a guild for just about every fiber art you could think of. So there's a quilters guild, modern quilters, knitters, weavers, embroiderers, felters. There's a guild for everything here. We have one of the largest knitters guilds in the country, actually, with over 500 members. And so there were all these groups already active and engaged, but there wasn't any one place that could bring people together. And like I said earlier, sort of cross-pollinate these different fiber art forms. And so Heather and I were really thinking about that and recognizing that as an opportunity here in Madison. There are other cities that have textile centers. So we started looking at those models. There's a great textile center in Minneapolis, for example. And the more we started talking with the community, and, we did focus groups and surveys and all sorts of coffee dates with folks to figure out if this was something that people would respond to here. And we just got such enthusiastic support from the get-go, from before we even opened. We really knew that this would be well received in our community.
I had the opportunity of interviewing Gail Boyd from Blue Bar Quilts, which is over in Middleton. And, I didn't realize just how extensive the community was and the way that you described it, and that we've got really leading groups here in Madison compared to the country. Why do you think that is? What is it about Madison and the people coming to your center that is making this a reality?
Yeah, well, first of all, I just like to say I love Gail and I love Blue Bar. I'm a quilter myself. And so her shop has been one that I have loved and frequented for a long time. But yeah, I think in Madison, there's so many creative folks in our community. And so I think that that's a large part of it. Like I said, the people coming out of the university. I think in general, fiber crafts have always sort of had deeper roots in the Midwest. And I think that contributes to Wisconsin being a hub. And I also think, though, more generally, and a reason why businesses and places like the Textile Art Center are seeing a lot of interest and a lot of traction with local audiences is that in general, people are looking for creative pursuits right now. I think now more than ever. I think fiber in particular is one that people are appreciating because it's basically like the exact opposite experience tactily from touching a screen or a,
right, it's
phone.
real.
If you're touching fiber versus a phone, it just could not be more different. People need that. They're also looking for ways to come together with people that share their interests and passions. And I think that's another reason why people are really interested in classes and maker meetups that we offer. And I think they're also looking for activities that fill them up creatively and bring them joy and like they're creating something that is beautiful or meaningful to them. It's an important counterpoint to a world that sometimes is bringing us down.
It's so true. As I'm sitting here, with my feet on a rug and then put on a dress, certain textiles, being connected to the material world really is something and means something. It feels strange to say, but I feel like I live more in the virtual world than I'd ever would have imagined 10 years ago, just all day.
Well, and that's true for so many of us and why we have to balance that out with an alternative, right? At least part of the time.
Yeah. And speaking of physical things, y'all, as I mentioned at the top, just moved into a new location, which is very exciting. How are you feeling about that? Are you excited?
The new space is so great. We love it. So yes, we're very excited. Our first space was a little incubator startup space on the north side of Madison. It was wonderful and helped us get our start, which was terrific, but we knew we wouldn't be there for long. But the community response was so positive and enthusiastic to what we were offering. We were able to sort of grow into that much bigger of a space that much more quickly than we even anticipated. So our new space in South Madison on Park Street is about double the size that we had previously. It's full of natural light with floor to ceiling windows. So that's dreamy and really great for creating. And it's right on the bus line, right on the bike path. It is super accessible and easy to get to and visible to the community. And we really love being a part of this neighborhood too. There's so much exciting happening on the south side of Madison right now. So much development, so many new cultural centers just opened or about to open. And it's really a great place to be. We're thrilled with our new location.
Yeah. So if I walked into the center right now, what would I see?
So you would see a few things right off the bat that are all really fun. For one thing, you would see a big community collaborative art project that we have going on right at our front door, which is something we always want to have. As soon as you walk in, we always want to have something that you can touch and contribute to and be part of right from the moment you walk in. So what that is right now is it's a huge house form made out of PVC pipe, but that people are wrapping and tying and weaving onto with fabric and yarn and all sorts of good things and creating this big, puffy, brightly colored, wonderful house. And we thought that that was really appropriate for our opening. It's a beautiful, fun house to welcome people to our new home. So that's one of the first things you'll see. Another thing that you'll see is a display of some work samples from our fall workshops on the first wall when you come in, so you get an idea of some of the classes that we have coming up. Better than seeing just a picture on our website, you can see an actual sample from the teaching artist. And then you would walk into our gallery and see that current exhibition that we have on view of the art quilt statement pieces. You'd also see 2 classroom spaces. You would see an open studio. Starting in early October, we'll have studio memberships, so people can actually be studio members of TAC and have access to use the looms, the industrial machines, big tables to spread out their projects. So you'll see all of those tools in that space. You'll also see our book library. We have about 1,000 books already in a library that you can look at here at TAC or check books out. So those are a few of the things you'll see when you come in.
It's sounding dreamy. You said dreamy because of the windows, but a library with 1,000 books, you're living your values with the art installations. Like, that sounds really exciting. And something that's sticking with me is that you said, like, you're also moved to a space where there's a lot of exciting things happening. I like you mentioned centers. Want to shout out The Bounty. We had Jay Henley, the co-owner of that, on another place that, is really trying to foster artistic expression and specifically in that area. Another place near you that I would like to say is artsy, and it's a favorite of mine, is Dig and Save.
Yes, I love Dig and Save.
It is. I'll just dare myself to say it's my favorite place to find random textiles. I found literally like a 1970s sequins turquoise dress in there, and that's right by you guys.
It's literally like right up the block. You could walk there in like less than 5 minutes. We love being close to the Dig and Save. And that's exactly right. Like the materials that you can find there to create from or to reimagine are amazing. We've been talking with a couple of our teaching artists about classes for 2026 where it could actually be like, session 1, walk as a group to Dig and Save and find all the good things and come back here to TAC to sort of imagine what you might do with them. And then session 2, come back and do the alterations or the mending or the over dyeing or whatever have you that could make it into something that's really, fabulous and can have a new life. So look for that in the new year. But yeah, many artists in our community go to Dig and Save. Many people in general go to Dig and Save to find all of the goodies there. So we're pretty pumped to be near them.
I'm picturing like a Project Runway-esque moment.
Yes,
Like, okay,
yes.
You have 5 hours, get back to our location.
Yes, exactly. One of my favorite shows from back in the day. And I guess now it's coming out again. So there you go.
Oh, good. That's exciting.
Yep.
But yeah, you were talking about 2026. Elizabeth, before I let you go, looking ahead to the rest of the year, 2025 and next year, what's in store for y'all at the center? And what would you like to see in the coming year?
Well, there will always be new things going on in terms of classes and exhibitions. We'll be starting that open studio program, which we're really excited about. We'll also be welcoming in the beginning of 2026, an artist in residence. There's a call out for applications right now for an artist in residence here at TAC, and that person, whomever is selected, will be starting with us in the new year. They'll actually be involved in whatever that engagement community art project is in our entranceway, as well as having time to pursue their own studio practice. So we're really excited about that. And there'll definitely be some new events and programs in the new year that we're currently have in the works.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing it happen and really excited. Like, y'all are doing a lot and you're leveling up. So I appreciate you, Elizabeth, taking the time to come on and talk with me today about what's going on. Thank you for making this space.
Thank you so much for having me, Bianca. I really appreciate it.
That's Elizabeth Tucker, co-founder of Textile Arts Center of Madison. That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin, your host. Don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Madison neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. And hey, if you enjoyed today's show, why not share this episode with someone who likes textile arts and thinks you can feel? All right, we'll be back tomorrow morning with more stories from around the city. Until then, take good care.